When I was 21 years old, my country, Poland, was falling apart. I was a student at the university, and I was thinking to myself, I have only one life, I better get out. And I started looking for ways to do that. My mom had a cousin who married an American soldier during Second World War. I decided to write a letter to this aunt, and I asked her if I could come and stay with them for a month in the US to study English. I wanted to stay much longer, but I didn't want to frighten her with that information. They sent me the official invitation, and that's how I found myself in Valley Stream, a small suburban town of New York. Shortly after I arrived, Poland declared martial law, and I couldn't go back even if I wanted to. And fortunately for me and all the other Polish tourists that arrived at that time, the American government issued us temporary work permits. I didn't speak any English, so I decided to sign up for free evening classes for foreign people at the local high school. Somebody told me about this Mrs. Krause that worked in a public library in Valley Stream, and they said she spoke Polish. I went to her, and she started lending me children's books starting from kindergarten to read. She also gave me a vinyl record that said on the cover, "English for Absolute Beginners." I also acquired Beatles' White Album because it had sheet with lyrics. And I started studying all of that diligently every day. And 3 months into it, when I felt that my knowledge was enough to get a job, I told my aunt and uncle that I'm gonna look for a job. And my uncle said, you know, all you Polish people think that America is paved with gold. Our daughter, who is an American, speaks perfect English, has not been able to find a job for a year. You speak at a kindergarten level, and you think you're gonna find a job. I went to Mrs. Krause, who was much more encouraging, and she said, you can always find work for anybody who is willing. She told me, start walking up and down Valley Stream, look in the windows of shops, and when you see help wanted sign in the window, walk in, say, hi, I'm Danusia, I want to work, and hand them your work permit. So I started doing that. There were a few streets that I could do it, and there it was, a sign, help wanted sign in the window of the local Burger King. I walked in, I got to talk to the manager. I said, hello, my name is Danusia, I want to work, and I handed him the work permit. To my surprise, he said, okay, and he put me in a little office in front of a screen. He pushed a button, told me to watch it over and over. And it was a slide presentation, and that's how I learned how much lettuce, how much onion, how many slices of tomatoes, how many slices of pickles and of American cheese goes into a classic Whopper. When I felt I knew the ingredients pretty well, I went back to the manager, and he handed me the official Burger King uniform, which at that time was consisted of brown polyester pants, brown polyester tunic with big yellow stripes, and a matching cap. I was in heaven. We didn't have polyester or Burger King in Poland. And I thought, now I am really an American. And he told me to come back the next day. I showed up already dressed in my uniform, and the manager handed me a broom and said, sweep the floor. I was in shock. I wanted to say to him, there's gotta be some misunderstanding. You trained me how to make a Whopper, which is practically to be a chef. And now you telling me to sweep the floor? I play Bach and Mozart on a violin. I'm not a custodian, but I was lacking the vocabulary to express that, and he was already gone. And there was this guy with with a big head of curly red hair and freckles, and he was watching this whole scene, and he could see how unhappy I was. So he walked up to me and he said with a big smile, "Hey, I'm Danny, I will help you." And he started showing me how to sweep the floor, which he did. Then he took me to my whopper station, and he pointed at the screen, pointed at the dispatcher, and he said, "When you see and hear the word whopper, it's time for you to make one." And I thought to myself, how difficult can this be? I'm familiar with the ingredients of the whopper. I studied it the night before. What I wasn't familiar with was a rush hour, which is a time when everyone starts running around as if the place was set on fire. So when the dispatcher started yelling out, "Whopper, extra pickle, extra cheese, no onion, minus mayonnaise. Whopper, extra pickle, hold the cheese, hold the onion, extra mustard, 2 Whoppers, minus pickle, minus mayonnaise, extra cheese, extra well done." I added extra mayonnaise just about to everything because minus sounded just like mayonnaise to me. I would have been fired the very first day if it weren't for Danny. Danny was kind enough to check the contents of my Whoppers, throw the bad ones away, make new ones while keeping up with his own cheeseburger orders. Danny loved the way I talked. So for the next 2 days of my employment with the Burger King, he kept helping me while saying to me, "You just talk in English, just say something, please." And my vocabulary was still very limited, so I kept repeating over and over the dialogue that I learned from that English lesson for absolute beginners. And it went something like this. "My name is John. My name is Mary. How do you do, Mary? You look tired. I am a little tired. Would you like some tea? But of course. So tell me, Mary, do you like Laurence Olivier? I like him as an actor, but I don't know him as a person. What do you do on Saturdays, Mary? On Saturdays, I clean the house with meticulous accuracy. Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, John." And if we still had extra time, I would go into Blackbird, singing in the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. All you ever wanted is for something to be free. And, but the manager was not enchanted by the way I talked. He wanted for the floor to be swept, for the Whoppers to be made with speed and accuracy on order, and I couldn't deliver any of that. And he fired me. And I could not believe that I was no longer wanted at this Burger King, not even for sweeping the floor. Now that I was willing to do anything he would give me. So I ran to the bathroom and I started to cry. And I was gonna miss my friend Danny. He was, like me, a college student, but unlike me, he seemed to have no problem with any task given to him by the manager. In fact, he behaved as if everything he was doing was the best thing that ever happened to him. So in my almost daily letters that I was writing to my family, I wrote, "I got fired, and I know now why things are so great in America. People work here really hard, young and old, and they don't seem to have feelings of any shame about any type of job they do. And the only shame to be had is the one that I'm feeling right now for thinking that I was too good for this." That's it. Thank you.
Danusia Trevino, ladies and gentlemen.